Right now, somewhere in your life, something has power over you that should not. A text message that hasn't been replied to. A comment someone made 3 days ago that is still living rent-free inside your skull. A meeting that went wrong. A relationship that ended badly. A decision you cannot stop replaying at 2 in the morning when the rest of the world has gone quiet. You are walking through your life with every emotional gate left completely wide open. And the world, the media, the algorithms, the difficult people in your orbit, they did not accidentally discover this. They built their entire systems around it. Because a mind that cannot regulate its own weather is a mind that can be effortlessly controlled. And today, that changes. Not with motivation, not with a list of affirmations, with something far older, far heavier, and far more permanent. Thousands of years ago, in the philosophical schools of ancient Rome and Greece, a group of thinkers were working on something that had nothing to do with comfort. They were not trying to make you feel better. They were trying to make you impossible to break. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, were not armchair philosophers writing theories from safe rooms. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire in the known world while simultaneously fighting wars, managing betrayal, burying children, and battling his own mind every single morning. Epictetus was born a slave. He had absolutely nothing. No freedom, no rights, no possessions. And yet he became one of the most psychologically free human beings who ever lived.
How? Because he understood something that modern psychology is only now beginning to prove with data. That your emotional state is not determined by what happens to you. It is determined by what you allow to happen inside you. In this video, we are going to walk through 9 Stoic habits that will permanently rewire the way your mind processes the world around you. This is not about suppressing emotions. This is not about becoming a cold, unfeeling stone. This is about becoming the kind of person who can feel everything, deeply, fully, completely, without ever letting those feelings commandeer the wheel of your life. By the end of this video, you will have a complete architecture, a fortress built from the inside out that the chaos of the modern world simply cannot penetrate. If you are ready to stop being a passenger in your own mind, stay with me. Every single habit matters. Do not skip ahead. Each one is a layer of armor, and armor with gaps is not armor at all.
Your greatest vulnerability is not your circumstances, it is your reaction time. Think about the last time something genuinely caught you off guard. An insult, a sudden piece of bad news, a moment of public embarrassment. In that fraction of a second between the trigger and your response, something happens inside you that most people never examine. Your nervous system fires, your cortisol spikes, your brain, specifically the amygdala, attempts a complete hostile takeover of your rational mind. And in that moment, if you have no training, no practice, no deliberate architecture in place, you become a puppet. The world pulls a string, you react. The world pulls another string, you react again. This is not living. This is being lived. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But realizing it intellectually means absolutely nothing if you cannot execute it in the heat of the moment. The sacred pause is your execution. When someone delivers an insult, do not respond, not yet. Breathe once, slowly, fully. When an email arrives with devastating news, do not type the frantic reply your hands are already reaching for. Step back. Wait.
When someone provokes you in a meeting, do not give them the reaction they came for. The pause is not weakness. Let me be absolutely clear about this. The pause is the most sophisticated display of psychological dominance available to a human being. Because in that pause, you are communicating something that no words ever could. That you cannot be rushed into surrendering your peace. That your response is not an automatic reflex triggered by external input. It is a deliberate, conscious choice made entirely on your terms. When you stretch that fraction of a second into a deliberate beat of silence, you sever the world's ability to puppet your behavior. You become the observer of your anger rather than its prisoner. You see the fear rising in your chest, and you look at it calmly, clearly, the way a surgeon looks at a problem, not with panic, with precision. Practice this today, not in the big moments, in the small ones. The next time a driver cuts you off, pause before you react. The next time a notification pulls at your attention, pause before you reach for the phone. Train the muscle in the small moments so that it is already strong when the large ones arrive, because they will arrive. And when they do, the pause will save you. Here is a truth that will initially feel like an insult and eventually feel like liberation. Most of the emotional suffering you experience on a daily basis is manufactured entirely by your own ego, not by the events themselves, by the story your ego immediately attaches to them. When someone rejects you, the rejection itself is neutral. It is a data point. It is one human being's response to one specific interaction at one specific moment in time. That is all it is. But your ego, that fragile, hungry, terrified thing, cannot allow it to remain neutral. So it immediately begins narrating. The rejection means you are not enough. The failure means you are never capable. The criticism means everyone secretly agrees with the worst thing you have ever thought about yourself. And now you are not suffering from the event, you are suffering from a story that you wrote yourself in the seconds after it happened. Epictetus said it plainly. Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. The Stoic practice here is radical, relentless objectivity. Strip the adjectives from your experience. Remove the drama from the narrative. Do not say, "This disaster is destroying my life." Say instead, "A challenge has occurred. I must navigate it." Do not say, "That person humiliated me in front of everyone." Say instead, "That person chose to speak to me in a particular way. Their behavior is a reflection of their internal state, not a verdict on my value." This is not denial. This is precision. When you divorce your identity from external events, you stop hemorrhaging emotional energy on things that are fundamentally not about you. The universe is not conspiring against you. It is simply unfolding, indifferently, impersonally, without malice and without favoritism. And your only duty, the only thing that has ever been within your power, is to meet that unfolding with a spirit that cannot be shattered by its randomness. Emotions are not private experiences. They are contagious, scientifically, measurably, profoundly contagious. When you spend significant time in the presence of someone who is chronically anxious, your own cortisol levels rise. When you are surrounded by people who are consumed by bitterness, by resentment, by the toxic habit of manufacturing grievances, your own neurological baseline shifts toward that frequency. You begin to see the world through the lens of whoever you spend the most time with. This is not a metaphor. This is neuroscience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present," And part of confining yourself to your own present is refusing to inhabit someone else's darkness. You must become a ruthless auditor of your emotional environment. Notice, genuinely and honestly notice how you feel after spending time with the specific people in your life. Do you leave certain conversations feeling lighter, sharper, clearer? Or do you leave feeling drained, agitated, small, or somehow convinced that the world is worse than you thought it was before you picked up the phone? The people who leave you consistently feeling the second way are not your community. They are your contamination. Establish your borders, not with aggression, not with drama, simply with silence, with distance, with the quiet but absolute decision that your mental bandwidth is a finite, precious resource, and you will no longer allow it to be spent processing other people's unresolved chaos. Guard your inner atmosphere with the same fierce, deliberate intention that you would guard your most irreplaceable possession, because it is. Frustration, in every single form it takes, is the painful collision between your rigid expectations and an indifferent reality. You expected the meeting to go well. It did not. You expected the person to be fair. They were not. You expected your effort to be acknowledged. It was ignored. And in the gap between what you expected and what actually happened, that is where your suffering lives. The Stoics understood this with brutal clarity. Expecting the world to conform to your preferences, expecting people to behave the way you have decided they should, is not optimism. It is a continuous, self-inflicted wound. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with meddling, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and unsociable people." This is not pessimism. This is the most sophisticated form of emotional preparation ever written down. By accepting the flawed, chaotic, frequently unfair nature of human experience before you encounter it, you eliminate the element of surprise.